My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system, which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state. Alrighty, this is the identification of stalking. And under my feet feels as though there's a rumbling earthquake. That's sensational activity, and it's also the identification of targeting. You're also witnessing mental illness while psychopaths engage in what's supposed to be the outward appearance of being a private citizen, minding your own business, engaging in something that has nothing to do with any other person other than what they are obviously concentrating their attention on. This is where the entity is engaging in the sex offense of gang stalking, and it's occurring in a private space, which is a sex offense committed by government in concert with the entity. the public, the civilian population that is gang stalking. Doing so at what is the venue where the fake sun is present at 3. As I'm capturing 2:57 p.m., this is called crossing path, stalking in the adjacent hotel room, doing so while in operation of this communication device, monitoring it in the bathroom, which is a sex offense committed by the entirety of the entity. This is the people of the state who are sex offenders, okay? Living life as though they're engaging in what is ordinary conduct protected by the Constitution, private citizens in doing so, and this is public corruption that's exposed. License EC93F89, a paper plate, is gang stalking with all of the demons coming in and out of the hotel rooms. They're all monitoring together, and it is currently 11:13 a.m. where the sun would not still be present at the same location like I captured yesterday at 2:57 p.m. comparing to what is Economy Inn at 2301 South Euclid Avenue. That's one vantage point. Also, what's going on in 2024, that's another vantage point, another angle, recognizing targeting, recognizing demonic activity, recognizing the satanic system of gang stalking, federal group stalking, monitoring. It is also the fact that the fake sun is directly over me in the manner that it is at 2:57 p.m. yesterday. That's understanding the context. That's called crossing path, and that's a sex offender. And so is Southwest Airlines. There's no airport where they're rising up on what is Vineyard Avenue. This is P.O.C. You're looking at the pattern. Southwest Airlines and every other airline is gang stalking. They're flying toward the airport, and they're rising in elevation, flying toward the airport. That's the ridiculousness of the entity that knows that is, and it is going in a federal case. It's prosecuting its co-defendant, the people of the state. All right, Sheraton is gang stalking. Chick-fil-A, KFC, the gang stalkers at the hotel. The entity, I want to be clear, even Economy and the entirety of the city, the state of California is keeping me under surveillance while a fake sun is remaining over me. From 11, it's 11:14. The fake sun is still here at 2:57 p.m. That's not the sun, and that's called a gang stalker, and that's recognizing that RAMADA by WYNDHAM is gang stalking. All right, and they're all monitoring my vagina. This is idolatry, it's sexual perversion, and the entity is doing this with knowledge of the fact that it is being documented, all right? The entity is engaged in this pattern of conduct while the entity is keeping the fake sun supposedly over Woodside Senior Apartments, over the Ontario Town Square, over the Ovid Family Community Library entrance, while it's remaining over, while I'm on Omnitrans and I'm documenting the pattern of conduct. The entity is monitoring in real time, okay? That's the same plane. Southwest Airlines flying back and forth. You know what Southwest is, what the people of the state are doing as a group, pacing back and forth, which is demonic. And what is engineered light, this is not sunlight, neither is that the sun, okay? This is also not in Florida. All right, this is not the natural environment. None of this is natural behavior, nor is it lawful. Paul Leon's engaged in criminal surveillance. He is being removed from office. Mike LORENZ is engaged in criminal surveillance. He's being removed as well. And so is Alan D. Wapner. This is a domestic terrorist, not a president of an airport authority. Domestic terrorism and psychological torture is authorized under his corrupt and dangerous leadership. He's being removed from position. This is what is a sex offense exposed in California, and it's exposing what is demonic activity, which is, again, realizing and witnessing the fact that the spiritual realm is in plain view. It's right in front of your face, and so is criminal activity. All right, RAMADA by WYNDHAM is a third party, and this is not a private property either, and this is a pattern of conduct that's shared by RAMADA by WYNDHAM, which is in conformity to the pattern of conduct. This is mental illness. Mental illness is exhibited through the malice behind gang stalking, and it's also through the pattern of conduct that the entity is engaging in, while a population of people who are mentally psychopathic and also obsessive and sexually perverted engaging in stalking and targeting one person. And this is the government. This is a population of people that want to present as being sane. All right, this is P.O.C. It's currently 11:16 a.m. The ongoing terrorism, harassment, while they're engaging in monitoring. That's P.O.C. Alrighty, it is currently 4:33 p.m. The entity engaging in what is, again, the foolishness of this provision of evidence when you're prosecuting the government for terrorizing you. This is the entity that engaged in this light activity was not at first occurring. The moment that I take a picture of what was my shadow above me, then more light activity occurred. This is the government's impunity. The government is filled with demons, and they're going to be removed from office. It does include Paul Leon, the demons of the city of Ontario. It includes the population of sex offenders who are monitoring in an environment that is supernatural, speaking to the malicious purpose of a government that is gang stalking, which is demonic, right? The entity's engaging in what is impunity as you're going to analyze the criminal conduct of the government. But what you're always paying attention to is the demons who you see in traffic. That's called crossing a path. And there is no vantage point where any light activity is going to result on the ceiling. But that's the pattern that you're always seeing. This is what you saw at what is the courtyard Town Place Suites in Monrovia, California. This is what you're seeing when I am remaining inside of Economy Inn at every venue. This is sexual violence. This is public corruption. These are, first of all, what you need to understand, those are demons. And they're all monitoring my vagina. So you need to understand, contrary to how the law is written, contrary to what people's criminal records may represent, contrary to the ways in which a demon-possessed entity may even maintain families, the nuclear family, there's sex offenders monitoring my genitalia, and it's a matter of what is a government system of surveillance. It's absolutely satanic, crossing a path, coexisting with what is dynamic light appearing above my head on the inside of a room in a manner that is irreconcilable with nature, while a fake sun is remaining at the same exact location that it was during the 11 a.m. hour. Understand that everything that's happening is relevant to monitoring, and those are the demons that are crossing path. This is patrolling. They're not going anywhere. They're pacing as one demon-possessed entity. On this day in 2024, I'm remaining inside of my hotel room. We're doing this same hour. The fake sun's outside of that hotel room in Hesperia, California. The entity's maintaining the fake sun over the Ovid Family Community Library, as I've been documenting as I remain inside of that venue. This is a sex offense. Monitoring my vagina inside of Tracy Banks' apartment, Woodside Senior Apartment. She's going to federal prison for gay stalking her own daughter. She's a violent sex offender, a pedophile, and so is her sex partner, Jason Isaac Fields. Still targeting, and this is the entity that's doing so with regard to specific knowledge of who I am and everything that I'm doing. And that's shared by a population of sex offenders. This is the prosecution of the state, and this is the disbanding of the Ontario Police Department, engaging in a pattern of kidnapping while keeping me under surveillance. And it's exhibiting severe mental instability as well. It is currently 4:35 p.m. This is RAMADA by WYNDHAM, a documented pattern by this particular third party. And it's an egregious sex offense to be under surveillance by a government that's monitoring your genitalia, keeping you under surveillance at all times and at all places, and doing so with a level of impunity that the demon-possessed exhibit. This is P.O.C. It is currently 4:35 p.m. All right, it is August 24, 2025. It's 6:25 p.m. In the images, you are seeing the video that you have listened to on this podcast is revealing the maintenance of the specific environment that is in clear opposition to the way that nature works. And it's the clear also evidence of the government and also demons who are engaged in what is actually stalking as a matter of what is public corruption. And at 6:25 p.m., the fake sun is not only still at one address, which is distinct from every other venue where I've been at, it's in alignment to me, of all people, and at every other place. While you're looking at demons, that's amplified noise under that fake sun, that's somebody that's monitoring with impunity. In the same way that you're witnessing the light activity inside of my room, that's monitoring with impunity. And the entity that's walking outside in the room, going to what is any location, they're stalking, and that's impunity as the entity is engaging in monitoring. The government that's going to be removed from public positions, from public office, the government that's going to be exposed for engaging in the sex offense of monitoring a woman, criminal surveillance as a government system, ongoing psychological torture with regard to the system of gang stalking is who is going to be weighed and also held publicly accountable when the entity is going to be prosecuted, while you're listening to and looking at and witnessing the impunity of the demon-possessed who are gang stalking. This is the criminal conspiracy to commit murder. So understand that this is the crime that Jason Isaac Fields, the federal government, the state of California, Tracy Banks have engaged in at the outset when you're listening to the amplified audible activity while the demons are monitoring the evidence, while you're looking at the light activity while the entity is monitoring the evidence, while you're looking at that fake sun remaining, remember, as of 11 a.m. today, and that's because I didn't get up at sunrise, because you already know what the pattern of conduct is. And these are demons that are committed to a system of stalking. All right, it's currently 6:27 p.m. The people of the state are engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring, and the level of impunity is directly relevant to the unlawful threat posed to the life of an American citizen. The people of the state include license 9KRF252. The entities engaging in what is stalking with amplified noise, stalking with, as you see, Southwest Airlines gang stalking, license 9KGZ121, and the entity is engaged in gang stalking by the entire city of Ontario. So that includes the fire department, the police department, the Ontario International Airport, because there's an airport in this city that's engaged in surveillance, as Southwest Airlines is openly exposing. That's relevant to impunity. You're going to prosecute for all of the impunity that I have captured as a body of evidence within the pattern of conduct of psychopathic behavior, obsessive behavior, and also delusional behavior. 8MJZ901, 9RET301, 9TZG755, 9TQA040, 9PTD248, 7CTW050, 9SIR730, 9TOA611, 9DTB688, AR14JY, that's Florida, JT597 Handicap, 6EMV775, 8YJH983, 9HED366, EE26M83, that's paper, 8WTK94, in case I didn't read that one, 9UHL272, 6USU546, 6WRM701, 8MTE903, 4MPR122, 26357C3, 4YNK466, and the demons that you saw gang stalking this morning at the 11 a.m. fake sun are indeed the psychopaths and violent sex offenders that you saw, that I described, that you were witnessing, while they keep their back to the targeted individual whom they are obsessively stalking and monitoring as demons, acting as third parties with the state that's engaging in a program of criminal monitoring and surveillance. And that's why the fake sun is still here when you saw them in the parking lot with license EC93F89. That's a paper plate on that gray Tahoe. License 9UMY655. All right, the entity is maintaining the fake sun on what is G Street. That's where RAMADA is located, 1841 East G Street, the same G Street where Tracy Banks' apartment complex is on the west side of G Street, not even 10 miles away. And the entity is maintaining a fake sun on the east side of her apartment, where the entity kept the fake sun from sunrise till sunset, where the city of Ontario concentrated plane activity, helicopter activity over me, and the demon-possessed that are gang stalking at a hotel, which is a private space, a sex offense committed by an entity, is engaging in gang stalking at another venue, 9MSU122. A license 8CRT497 is gang stalking with KFC, who is engaging in what is a maintenance of a corrupt business in the specific environment and monitoring me in doing so. That's the federal RICO case against the entity that is gang stalking. All right, it is currently, again, 6:30 p.m. The entity is engaging in what is monitoring my vagina, and this is the reality of a gang stalking mayor. This is the reality of a gang stalking population, maintaining obsessive presence everywhere that I go, at every location. You're looking at the acidity of the impossible light activity that's maintained at the venue, where they are engaging in what is proven to be stalking, and stalking as a population that is mentally ill. That mental illness is identified through the behavioral pattern, the criminal pattern of gang stalking, and it is entirely malicious and psychopathic. The entity is engaging in what is gang stalking and is doing so while they are outwardly seeking to present as sane, even private individuals minding their business, and everything that they're doing is under a fake sun amongst impossible light activity, and the entity is doing so while they're also monitoring that evidence. This is all manner of psychopathic behavior. All right, and it's also sexually perverted. All right, this is the entity that's doing so at what is the venue that you can see on video, which is the 1841 East G Street venue, which is the, Economy Inn. Economy Inn actually is relevant because the entity that's gang stalking at Economy Inn, 2301 South Euclid Avenue, the entity is maintaining that light source, as I documented also. Remember, sunrise until sunset. So I'm documenting the Ontario Police Department gang stalking and engaged in what is a spectacle. Spectacular, okay? Spectacular evidence of targeting, doing so with that level of impunity, which is sitting on the record, and it's relevant for how many years gang stalking police officers of the Ontario Police Department are going to get. It's relevant to their ongoing conspiracy to commit murder, to psychologically torture, to harass and terrorize me, including the pattern of kidnapping while they're stalking me as demons under a fake sun amongst impossible light at a specific location where that fake sun is there from 7:13, 7:14 in the morning until after 7:15 in the evening. And yet on the opposite side of the same town, the entity is keeping the fake sun over the roof of my head in the same manner at a different location. This is the pattern of conduct where I'm showing you the behavioral pattern of the entity that is intentionally present in the path that is stalking in that specific environment, doing so pursuant to knowledge of everything that I'm doing. You are necessarily aware of it when you're in that specific environment, and you are always maintaining what is presence, but also a method of noise, which is also supernatural in level. It's supernatural with regard to its timing, and with regard to whatever it is that I'm doing as I do it, including as I do things that are inaudible, as I do things pursuant to what's on my communication device, which is also under surveillance, as I engage in things such as what is legally relevant, such as documentation, where the government government is interfering with a federal case against itself. This is the entity that's engaging in all manner of that conduct, and it is directly relevant to what is actual mental illness. Mental illness that is, again, not discussed, mental illness that is contrary to the propaganda that we are conditioned with in the United States, contrary to the ways in which misinformation and the mischaracterization, that is criminal defamation by the government, who are masquerading under medical professionals and corrupt courts and corrupt facilities that are engaging in this pattern of conduct, necessarily defaming the character of American citizens, mischaracterizing what are psychological characteristics, what is actual mental illness, what it is presenting as, what is actually the cause of it, and what it is going to appear as. The demon possessor speaking to a population of mentally ill people who are sharing in criminal activity, which is absolutely demented and maniacal and unhinged. And the more that I peel those layers off and show you the illusions that they surround and live by, which is relevant to mental illness as well, the more that that mental illness that sought to remain closeted is more and more revealed. This is actual mental illness, contrary to the quote unquote practice of medicine that I have exposed in California that has been abused with regard to kidnapping and the conspiracy to murder an American citizen who's being targeted by that corrupt entity. Okay, it's currently 6:34 p.m. So those are the license plates representing those that are merely on the property. The entire state is engaging in criminal monitoring. That's why I'm in Hesperia today in 2024. And during the 6 p.m. hour, I am capturing additional video. This is already published on YouTube. You can look at the playlist for August 24, 2024 to see the 2 videos that I captured on this day. That fake sun is remaining in perfect alignment with my hotel room window at the Hesperia off of Key Point at the Holiday Inn Suites. This is impossible to coexist with what the entity is doing today. That is a year later on the same day at around the same time in a natural environment where you are talking about what the sun is going to be doing at the same time of year, including at the same time. And remember, it's not just relevant to the same time of year in 2024. The same time of year in 2025 is what was happening last week at the Open Family Community Library, where when I walk out of that library, that fake sun is still remaining outside of the entrance, where UPS is gang stalking, where the Ontario Police Department, where the Chino Police Department, the Upland Police Department, and the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department are gang stalking at Holt and Euclid Avenue. That's the entity that's keeping a fake sun in perfect alignment with my room on the 3rd floor at the Ramada Inn by WYNDHAM off of G Street and Vineyard. Okay, that's the entity that's exposed as engaging in what is a secret but obvious system of surveillance. And it's also not a secret because this evidence has been published all over the internet before 2025, before 2024. But the entities, it's not engaging in anything that is a secret because it is currently on the internet, all over the internet, and the government is still engaging in criminal surveillance. That's relevant to the impunity of a corrupt government that has engaged in a conspiracy to commit murder through this corrupt system of gang stalking, which sex offenders and psychopaths like Tracy Banks and her sex partner, Jason Isaac Fields, another corrupt government actor, engaged in together with the government. Jason Isaac Fields abusing a position in government and doing so, helping his sex partner, the pedophile that he's been in a secret sexual relationship, my mother, for years, and doing so with regard to an intention to profit off of my demise. This is somebody that has been engaged in gang stalking me with the government that's been engaged in this criminal system for decades. I am subject to it. The entity engaged in a failed sacrifice. Remember, this is demonic. So this is a satanic sacrifice, and the entity failed in sacrificing me. And legally, this is referred to and prosecuted as a conspiracy to murder. And literally, the pattern of conduct is the evidence of a government that's engaged in a criminal conspiracy to murder, because the government is not gang stalking any American citizen for purposes of just studying them and then leaving them alone and letting them go about their way and go about achieving the American dream. The government is gang stalking an American citizen, which is the unabated program of psychological torture, the ongoing addiction to the practice of witchcraft, stalking as a population of demons who are engaging in what's supposed to be a secret system of monitoring them while you are necessarily stalking them, not just stalking them physically from place to place, but stalking their physical movement and everything going on communication devices and on the internet. This is what the government is engaging in with the population of people who are third parties, not private citizens, not individuals under the Constitution. They are third parties and they will be prosecuted in the shoes of the state. They are doing so in furtherance of murder, kidnapping someone, murdering someone, and making it look like it is the execution of justice. They've been prosecuted for a crime. They've been adjudicated as mentally ill. They are kept against their will inside of a state facilitating venue where they are then gang stalked. Remember, gang stalking is a term of art. It's where the pattern of conduct is happening in a specific environment. The San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department and the Police Department of Ontario let you know what gang stalking looks like, and they are concentrating that specific environment at the corrupt jails and prisons in the state of California.
Okay, those are demons that call themselves deputies, demons that call themselves court officials and judges and attorneys, demons that call themselves police officers. And they're engaging in the demonic pattern of conduct in state facilities where American citizens who are kidnapped, they lose their lives, and it's called a murder that's committed by the government. And you're given another narrative about what happened to that American citizen who never should have been there in the first place. It was a product of criminal conduct by this same entity. Okay, that practices a system of targeting. The government is only gang stalking for purposes of committing a sacrifice. That is a murder. Okay, translating the satanic purpose to what is a criminal prosecution. Conspiracy to murder, and the entity is doing so with those that are, again, leading in what is going to federal prison. That's Tracy Banks and her sex partner, Jason Isaac Fields, whom she relied on with regard to access to things that this high school graduate outside of her sexual exploits would not have access to. Those that are in a sex cult with her, those that worship Satan with her. And this is speaking to what you need to know. The demon-possessed fill the state of California. Celebrities, politician, irrespective of the type of family structure, irrespective of the zip code, irrespective of the economic stature, of the status, of the location where they're at, of the job that they hold, or the title that they hold, their race, their whatever generation that they are in, there is no exception, okay? And I have shown a body of evidence that is showing the absence of any exception, actually, and also what is a reasonable conclusion that there is no exception. Okay, this is why you are maintaining a supernatural environment, and you're not maintaining that supernatural environment ignorant of everybody in that environment, where I'm also documenting an ongoing pattern of harassment and terrorism. That's meaning the entity that's stalking with amplified audible activity is harassing you. So this is the entity. It's not like they're keeping the fake sun and it's totally peace and quiet all the time. It's not like they're keeping the fake sun and engineer light and nobody's making a peep. Nobody's maintaining some sort of, as soon as I walk outside of my room, there's never anybody that's there. Every time I walk down a corner where there's some sort of open space, that's like there's nobody there, that's always going to maintain some method, some mode of presence. That's not what's going on. The specific environment is there and the behavioral pattern is there together. They are not in that, engaging in that pattern of conduct coincidentally on an ongoing basis. The clinical term for that, again, is a pattern, and it is a pattern of conduct, and it's also satanic. It is exposing what is the government's agenda, trying to murder me and get away with it, in other words. And they're doing so through the intents and purposes of the government, which, again, Jason Isaac Fields, abusing a position that he's not even merited, not even qualified to have in the first place. He got it to target me, and he is still engaging in targeting me while in that position, which the government has enabled, and the government's going to be prosecuted for that as well. This is what Tracy Banks intended with regard to gang stalking her own daughter in concert with her family and in concert with everybody that she knows, particularly those that participated in criminal acts by this court, maintaining secret conservatorship over me, maintaining information about court hearings pertaining to undisclosed property that belongs to me, money that belongs to me, money and property that Tracy Banks and her sex partner Jason Isaac Fields have already stolen and sought to murder me in order to conceal that and get away with stealing the rest of it. And I still remain subject to this system right now. While these demons are living off of property, they're outside of federal facilities. I still remain a transient, and I still remain under threat, being gang stalked by the government to date. And this is all damages that the government and the people of the state, the gang stalking companies, the gang stalking cities, the gang stalking public officials. This is what is relevant for what is a comprehensive prosecution. Okay, it is currently 6:41 p.m. and it is August 24, 2025. Understand, when you're looking at gang stalking, as I'm showing you this pattern of conduct, this is a massive sex offense that is being perpetrated against a woman, against her will. This is everything pertaining to my genitalia is a matter of public information. Mike Lorenz knows the dates of my cycle. He knows whether I use pads and tampons. He knows how long it is between whatever it is that I eat for breakfast and whether I eat or not, when it is that I'm going to sleep, what it is that I'm doing in bed. And that's a sex offender. That's somebody that is also masquerading as a normal person to you because he wants you to focus on his wife or whatever he's married to and his kids. And you are ignorant about the criminal system underway by the entirety of that Ontario Police Department that is engaging in criminal surveillance, not law enforcement, and relying on the appearance of the thing rather than the substance of that demon that's engaging in what is a conspiracy to murder by gang stalking as a terrorist leader, not a police chief. He's being removed from his position, and every gang stalking demon of that department fully engaged in the pattern of conduct to the extent to which they are providing a template for the rest of the state to understand and study how gang stalking, surveillance, federal group stalking and monitoring, as I have termed it, is underway and masquerading as law enforcement. And it is not, and the two are not even similar. They're not even similar. It's not law enforcement. It is stalking. Okay? It is currently 6:43 p.m. This is all relevant to the sex offense that is, again, never before contemplated under federal law, and that is serving for what is also an unprecedented basis to recover. Okay, it is 6:43 p.m. and this is.
All right, this is documentation regarding gang stalking by RAMADA by WYNDHAM. This is a third-party facilitating venue. The establishment itself is engaged in criminal monitoring, so that's the prosecution of the business itself. And then it's also the prosecution of the people of the state, the gang stalking demons who are employed at the venue. And there are also probable cause, actually, that these are gang stalking immigrants as well that are managing, working at the venue. Again, RAMADA by WYNDHAM is located at 1841 East G Street in Ontario, California, 91764. And I documented today the fake sun remaining in perfect alignment with me. During the 11 a.m. hour, the fake sun is over my head, over the roof, while I am at my hotel room, standing right outside of my hotel room door. Again, hours later, during the 4 p.m. hour, the fake sun is in alignment with my head still while I'm standing outside of the same hotel room door. This is not going beyond G Street as I'm at the same establishment. The fake sun is remaining at one property. And then I'm capturing images, which I went out and documented the people of the state that are gang stalking with regard to the presence of the documentation I have at hand, meaning everyone that is at the hotel is not limited with regard to the gang stalking conduct by the entire government. I am merely documenting the demons who are at my disposal with regard to identifying as many terrorists and sex offenders as possible in the parking lot of this venue. The entity is gang stalking by a population. Thousands of people gang stalked me today by crossing path driving on G Street. And that's just this street. Everybody is gang stalking where they live in the city of Ontario. Everyone is gang stalking where they're visiting, where they're traveling, where they're consuming, where they're working in the city of Ontario. The government is maintaining ongoing gang stalking via aircraft, which the city of Ontario has shown you exactly how they do that. All while the fake sun remains stationary over me. This is understanding how demons are doing nothing. They're not going anywhere. You're looking on the surface as though it's traffic. People are going to destinations. No, it's one entity of demons who are pacing around me while a fake sun and engineered light remains surrounding at all times. And it's also in a harassing environment. And that's what I want to document remaining inside of the hotel room with regard to where I'm physically located in the hotel room. This is the identical conduct, the identical methods of sexual violence, harassment, and terrorism. Remember, this is by a public entity. This is not ordinary harassment. This is not harassment that I would prosecute the employee for under existing state law. This is prosecution for a government and the people of the state who are in the shoes of the government. So this is prosecution of a public entity that's engaging in what is harassment while engaging in criminal surveillance, which is a sex offense committed by a public entity, acting via RAMADA by WYNDHAM. Those are the deep pockets that you're going to prosecute civilly and criminally. For being a sex offender, for being a domestic terrorist, for engaging in war tactics, psychological torture, while maintaining what is psychological torture and harassment, criminal surveillance inside of a hotel room, which is a sex offense committed by a business in the shoes of a public entity. Okay, so understanding all the levels of that. This is what the entity is doing inside of this hotel room. So just like I'm documenting at every other venue, at Woodside Senior Apartments inside of Tracy Banks' apartment, okay, where this domestic terrorist, Jason Isaac Fields, the government, acting through this third-party agent, this so-called hitman, Tracy Banks, who has conspired my murder, has conspired with her co-conspirator. Jason Isaac Fields is also a hitman. The entity is engaging in what is targeting, and I'm documenting amplified audible activity where I'm located inside of that apartment. When I'm in the kitchen, amplified booming through the ceiling in the kitchen. When I'm in the bathroom, amplified booming through the ceiling in the bathroom. When I'm in the living room, amplified booming through the ceiling in the living room, above the couch, not just anywhere in the living room, but over me in the couch. Everything that the demon in Unit 55 was doing is something that I could hear, which is, again, not only extraordinarily amplified in volume necessarily. You're at a senior citizen complex. It is context because the fake sun remains over that apartment building, over Tracy Banks' apartment from sunrise until sunset, meaning the sun didn't go anywhere, just like what I documented today at RAMADA by WYNDHAM, which is east of Tracy Banks' apartment complex and her apartment, where the sun is never going to be over her apartment or over my head like I documented. The entity is engaging in what is a harassing environment as I'm documenting at Economy N, amplified booming, vibrating the bed, bed, vibrating while I'm standing on the ground, shaking like there's an earthquake, exclusive to me where I'm standing, where I'm located in that hotel room. Very specific and detailed and precise terrorism with activity creation, and it's happening all in engineered light. And the entity is doing so as a population under a fake sun, which is the identity. It's literally the bullseye of showing you where a demon-possessed population is stalking one person. These are all sex offenders, predators that are gang stalking at RAMADA by WYNDHAM. And so I want to document this is demonic, okay? And with regard to the demonic pattern of conduct, which is proven to you through an environment which is supernatural, i.e. demonic, where criminal conduct, which is demonic by a government, is underway. Pursuant to criminal monitoring and psychological torture, an entity is sitting back engaging what is voyeurism while they're stalking you obsessively and monitoring everything about you, including monitoring what it is that you're observing, what it is that you're doing, thinking, sleeping, very obsessive satanic conduct. Okay, the entity that's conspiring your murder is sexually obsessed with you, is addicted to stalking and monitoring you, and is also conspiring your death. Okay, this is the entity that is acting through a population that share that obsession, that addiction, and ongoing conspiracy. That is why they are maintaining presence at the hotel. That is why they are driving by the hotel. That is why, literally why Sheraton is across the street from this venue. Understand, gang stalking is not based on chronology, who was here first. Gang stalking is premised upon the superseding facts of the specific environment following to where I go. Sheraton is gang stalking me while it is in relevant position to where I'm located at RAMADA by WYNDHAM, while the fake sun remains over me all day long, and Sheraton is exposed as a domestic terrorist, as a sex offender, as one employing psychological torture tactics against an American citizen whom it is acting as an entity against while Sheraton is monitoring the documentation. Okay, this is the legal analysis for all of the government that's engaged in criminal surveillance. The entity is monitoring. This is demonic. This is the reality, what I'm exposing regarding Satanism, regarding the practice of witchcraft, regarding what are sacrifices unto Satan. And you're going to prosecute this satanic conduct, this closeted mental illness in federal court regarding conspiracy to murder and criminal surveillance by the government. The entity is engaging in what is demonic. So while I am thinking about celebrities that I have observed gang stalking me, the entity engages in immediately targeting me inside of the hotel room with sensational activity, like I was documenting on video today. While I was capturing the video, as I stood outside of my hotel room, and engineer light, impossible light, was underneath the covered structure of the walkway outside, and the fake sun was still not only present at the same address, 1841 East G Street, in direct contravention and outright departure from staying over the Ontario Town Square and the Ovitt Family Community Library. And the two are not happening at the same time. If it's over the entrance of the Ovitt Family Community Library, in between the entrance and the parking garage, then it's not over G Street. It's not east of that location, in a position where I would never see it over the RAMADA by WYNDHAM roof, over my room at RAMADA by WYNDHAM. It's not, the two aren't happening at the same time. And the entity's engaging in what is keeping the fake sun and keeping that engineered light while I'm standing there capturing video, as I narrated, underneath my feet, ongoing vibration, shaking. That's sensational activity, and it's demonic. Meaning it's impossible to naturally occur, okay? You're looking at demonic activity while I am showing you the video documentation of people who are present in what is not even sunlight and under what is not the sun. And everything that they're doing, riding their bikes, walking by, smoking a cigarette, driving their car, walking to their vehicles, walking out of their hotel rooms. You're looking at demons that are engaging in demonic activity right in front of you. People who are demon possessed. People who are obsessively stalking me while wanting to outwardly look like they're going to do something else. They're stalking in the path. They're obsessively monitoring even while I document them. And this is in furtherance of committing murder as an entity. This is an entity that has not only failed in a sacrifice, which is supposed to be secret. It's supposed to be secretly executed. The entity has forfeited that and is still showing. Now you're able to see, in other words, not only mental illness, but the ongoing obsession with me, which is what I exposed at the outset. This is what I said at the outset. And stalking is born of obsession. So understand that. This is a population of people who are engaging in it, and this is speaking to a population of mentally depraved and demented people who are acting together to target one person, and they are trying to present as normal everyday society in California. Okay, and it's not persuasive under the fake sun and an engineer light. So when you look at people all pushing the stroller and talking on the phone, French kissing each other on the sidewalk in relevant position to me, look up at the fake sun above me. Remember the impossible light activity inside of my hotel room, and then take another gander at sex offenders who are psychotic and thinking that you're going to be distracted because they're swapping spit, and that's supposed to look like they're not stalking me. Those are demons. And they don't even care about each other. They're both obsessed with my vagina. Whoever it is, I'm just giving you an example. They're sex offenders. They're homosexuals, the women that are stalking me, and the demons who are males, predators, equally engaging in obsession and stalking me. And that's because of their condition. These are the demon-possessed people that don't want you to know what they are and what they're doing. And now that is sitting in government, okay? That is what is maintaining surveillance everywhere that I'm at in Ontario. His name is Paul Leon. And whatever he's married to, his whole family, demons, monitoring. This is somebody that is gang stalking with every corrupt department in the city of Ontario, which I've also documented, including when I'm sleeping outside. This is speaking to the psychopath that is Tracy Banks and her sex partner. They're both hitmen, Jason Isaac Fields, who is engaging in demonic activity. Jason Isaac Fields, Tracy Banks, still engaging in what is satanic conduct with regard to psychological torture. Psychological torture is evident with regard to the pattern of conduct, but understand I'm also, while I am speaking to and pointing out the pattern of conduct, as you are able to see the evidence of the specific environment, the behavioral pattern happening in the specific environment, speaking to the pattern of conduct that's underway as an entity. This is witchcraft that a bunch of demon-possessed people who don't want you to know about that condition are engaging in. It's also witchcraft that they're practicing while they are spiritually attacking. And this is what these feckless demons, Tracy Banks and Jason Isaac Fields, and all of these demons that are monitoring, this is the practice of witchcraft. So I am subject to what is ongoing spiritual attacks, which again are not stopping me. This is why I'm able to expose it, but I'm also going to call out the demon possessed as they are, and I'm going to prosecute based on it. And this is unprecedented, but this is not a Salem witch trial hunt. This is hard, tangible evidence that I have to prosecute psychopaths like Tracy Banks and Jason Isaac Fields, who are practicing witchcraft, which is proven through the pattern of conduct of gang stalking, and it shall be a basis for federal prison, for also federal restraints from ever coming around me based on that severe mental illness and their conspiracy to murder me, and then being delusional with regard to your ever being in my presence. This is an entity that is, again, targeting me inside of my hotel room. So while I'm sitting in the hotel room, I'm sitting in the depths of the hotel room nearest the sink, and I am manipulating my hair. So as I have a particular thought, the floor underneath my feet begins vibrating like it's an earthquake. It's an earthquake exclusive to me, okay? The entity is engaging in this again while I am also thinking about the fake sun being over the United States Postal Service at 1555 East Hope Boulevard in Ontario, California, 91764. The moment that I think of that and even think of the idea, I'm gonna get a screen recording with the fake sun in the Ontario Police Department gang stalking by helicopter while I'm at that United States Postal Service. That's a state facilitating venue. That's recognition of the federal government that is monitoring, engaging in criminal surveillance. That impossible light activity, that fake sun, the gang stalking demons of the city of Ontario and the people of the state are letting you know and showing you how witchcraft is operating with regard to surveillance of a satanic nature that is committed in furtherance of murder. The entity, as I recall this evidence and I think of that immediately with simultaneity, that is monitoring knowledge of thoughts that I maintain. This is also evident as I'm documenting the same pattern of conduct as I maintain my documentation, create my documentation. Okay, it's also how you know what is with regard to monitoring on communication devices. What I'm documenting, I'm capturing with and using devices to publish on the venue of the internet. The entity is monitoring all of that. Demons are monitoring me, my thoughts. My thoughts are consumed with documentation. As I document using devices and put it on the internet, the entity is monitoring in all of those manners. This is relevant to federal stalking. As you are getting from what is psychological torture to the criminal surveillance that's happening in the physical, and you are prosecuting a government that's engaging in what is domestic terrorism and psychological torture. This is what's underway, and RAMADA by WYNDHAM is going to be prosecuted for that, okay? The entity gang stalked me also, like I stated, at Baymont Inn by WYNDHAM, Days Inn by WYNDHAM, La Quinta Inn and Suites by WYNDHAM. I've documented the, I meant to say documented, but what I was going to say is accurate. I have prosecuted WYNDHAM already.
Okay. The entity is with regard to, I have so much evidence. For example, you can see the pattern of conduct at Walmart. Okay. You can see the pattern of conduct at Starbucks. You can see the pattern of conduct by innkeepers such as Marriott Bonvoy, such as WYNDHAM. Okay. The entity is engaging in this P.O.C. and those are some pretty large, substantial companies. The pattern of conduct by Amazon, et cetera, et cetera. That's how much evidence I have with regard to showing you what is going on throughout the whole state with every business in California and what's going on throughout the country. Okay. The entity's engaging in what is psychological torture. Again, so I want to make sure that I document that. That's relevant to monitoring my vagina in the toilet inside of this hotel room. Okay. In the toilet room, inside of this hotel room when I am nude. And the entity's not only, remember, gang stalking outside of my hotel room. Demons sitting, stalking in the path. If you pay attention to the images that I capture, when I was walking back upstairs, you'll see like this hairy-faced beast-like figure stalking in the path, making sure that somebody is in alignment to me on the backside of this hotel building. It's nothing but weeds and dirt back there. This demon is stalking, and you know that it's stalking because the fake sun is there. So that it's not just a homeless person that's high on drugs and oblivious to me and just happens to be there coincidentally. That is obsessive. That's how obsessive the stalking is. That's how demonic this criminal system is. And now you need to understand that's how psychopathic and diligent this stalking system is by demons, not normal people. And these demon-possessed people, they're of all races and ages as well. Okay, and it's underway at every single business in the state of California. What's around me? KFC, Sheraton, In-N-Out, Denny's, Mobil Gas, Doubletree, the Motel 6, the Ontario Airport Inn, and that's just right here at this immediate intersection. Wendy's, Chick-fil-A. The entity is engaging in what is monitoring me through every business. A business name is nothing other than a guise for what is presence. The government is engaging in criminal monitoring, and these are not private companies. These are not private properties. Surveillance is underway. That's why a fake sun remained over me at G Street. As a matter of documentation, from the 11 a.m. hour until the 6 p.m. hour. 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's 7 hours. And with that, with regard to the pattern of conduct, and because in the natural environment, there's only one sun, that means that it was never in Florida. And since you saw a sun in Florida, that means that is the conclusive evidence of surveillance that's not just happening to me. The specific environment fills this country. So there's necessarily more than one sun. That's what you're getting from the unnatural environment where I am exposing the entity that conspired with hitmen Tracy Banks and Jason Isaac Fields, who are still practicing witchcraft. They're spiritually attacking in the spirit. This is relevant to their mental illness, and it's relevant to the federal law that's going to restrain the entity like Jason Isaac Fields from ever coming into my path. This is a mentally unstable psychopath. He is a violent sex offender. He's monitoring my vagina. He is gang stalking, not engaging in any investigation. There is nothing about him or anything that he is engaging in that is welcomed by me, that is making him any sort of partner or colleague. He is a hitman, and he remains what is a threat to my life and safety, and that doesn't change. And it's the same analysis with regard to the demon that's in the adjacent hotel room, whose name I don't know. Jason Isaac Fields is one that is abusing a position in government, which he used to conspire my murder, and doing so while having sex with my mother and feigning to be a friend of mine for a term of years before I realized that he was targeting me, and I stopped talking to him. I was never in his presence again. With my knowledge, because this demon is still stalking. So he is could very well be at every single venue where I'm at, but unbeknownst to me, this is a psychopath. All right. This is the entity that's engaging in that. And these are demons that are doing so. And so this is relevant to the monitoring. And I want to make sure that I document that. The entity that's engaging in gang stalking and engaging in conduct where you're stalking, keeping your back to someone, you're stalking as somebody that's trying to or failing at there's no such thing as a stranger where surveillance is underway. Okay, so these are psychopaths and they're delusional. The fake son, you're not a stranger. You know exactly who I am, and you are targeting me specifically. And as I document you engaging in what is stalking me with your back to me, stalking me while you're focusing on something else, it's not the appearance of innocence. It's the outward demonstration and the threat to the public as a delusional psychopath. Someone that is stalking someone that they should not know, that they should not be. That's getting to the maniacal psychopath that conspires murder as an entity, as a cult, as demons, all right, through a system of organized crime with the government, okay? It is not the appearance of innocence and the false depiction of the targeted individual's care. All of that projection is nonsense, and the entity is going to be prosecuted like the psychopaths that they are.
Okay, that's including a government that's targeting an American citizen that has committed no crime. No fire department is engaging in any investigation with the government. No airport is engaging in any investigation with the government with regard to probable cause and having a warrant to investigate any purported crimes. No gang stalker is engaging in any investigation in the first place. The specific environment is directly rebutting any legitimate investigation. So the federal government claiming that they've been investigating me is admitting to engage in what is criminally monitoring me. And for that, I'm going to recover. I'm going to prosecute the federal government who never had any basis under the law to keep me under surveillance in the first place. And the government's been doing this since I was a child. And Tracy Banks, Eric Corey Spencer, these are, again, demons in my bloodline. I don't want to say family because your actual family is not going to be gang stalking you. And as you are also becoming aware, your family, like Christ said, who is my family, but who is my mother and brother, rather, than he who does the will of my Father. All right. So it's not enough that you're blood related. If you are serving in this satanic system, you're defaming my character behind my back. You're conspiring my death to steal from me. Your prayers to Satan and the demons that you summon is to see me in an unstable state while you steal all my money and then falsely depict me as somebody that cannot take care of myself. When I'm the only person with a college education and a professional degree, planning to look over and look out for my family. This is the entity. That's not your family. That's not family. And it's in alignment with what scripture says. Who is my mother and brother but he who does the will of my Father? So it is not enough for you to be blood related and claim that you're family. No, you're not. And you will know them again by their deeds. Somebody that's conspiring your death, that is, again, those are the children of the devil. And they don't know my Lord and Savior at all. And you are not my family. And I will prosecute you like any stranger on the street, like I never met you. Okay, with a level of vigor and zeal that will frighten you. The entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct and is doing so as a population where there is no stranger. They know exactly what it is as demons who are practicing witchcraft, what you're thinking and what you're doing. They're not only gang stalking you through corrupt law enforcement practices, using all manner of technology and resources. They are also monitoring you in the spirit as demons that know when you're, like I've stated before over the years, know when you're moving your big toe inside of your shoe, know when your hand's in your pocket and you're moving your middle finger around. Know what it is when you are when your body is digesting, when you're blinking, knowing when you are in a conscious state and in an unconscious state. And this is the reality of the surveillance that we're all in under the fake sun, wherever you are at. This entity you are witnessing tried to murder me and get away with it and steal everything that belongs to me in doing so. And also tried to ruin my testimony as a servant of the Lord Jesus Christ in doing so. And that's legally prosecuted as defamation. Now, it's going to be prosecuted as criminal defamation because what the government has committed, remember, this is not just defamation coming out of the mouth of a high school promiscuous streetwalker, Tracy Banks, which is a fake mother, or a sex addict and a closeted homosexual like Jason Isaac Fields, a corrupt government actor. This is a government that's speaking when they defame you. They're acting as an entity. This is a government that is defaming your character and through corrupt acts such as secret court hearings pertaining to undisclosed property that the government has conspired to steal from you through gang stalking, which is supposed to result in your murder. This is criminal defamation, in other words, as I have termed it. This is defamation that's committed as a government. The entity is doing so in furtherance of that conspiracy to defame you. And the reason why demons in particular are interested in doing that is because of their nature. This is satanic. This is Satan that wants to ruin the testimony of one who would speak on behalf of Christ, who would tell you of what the demons are doing. And that is supposed to be accomplished through defamation. It's going to be prosecuted as criminal defamation. It exceeds ordinary defamation under tort law. It is not merely pecuniary harm, and it's also not defamation that is committed by individuals or by one person. It's defamation while the government is speaking. You're going to prosecute the government for that. In the same way that the government is gang stalked by the Ontario Police, you can thank those geniuses of the Ontario Police for a prosecution for criminal defamation. It's the same entity that is stalking and monitoring using helicopters that's defaming my character in court, okay? This is what the entity has committed, and criminal defamation is defined on my website at thisisthepoc.wordpress.com. It is relevant to what is a bigger policy that I advocate with regard to prosecuting surveillance. It is referred to as federal group stalking monitoring, and it is under I.I.S. that I promote, that I advocate, that I pretty much And I'm pretty much stating that this is what needs to be dealt with regard to this system of surveillance that's no longer a secret. And how do you address that? First of all, you need to know what's happening. And second of all, you need to know what is the purposes of a bunch of demons, a group of demons that are engaging in monitoring someone, which is stalking. It's surveillance. Monitoring is surveillance. It is referred to in the vernacular as gang stalking. The demons act in a group. It's a massive group while a whole government is engaging in this criminal surveillance system, and it has levels of sophistication, okay? And that's speaking to what the courts are doing. They're gang stalking while Jason Isaac Fields and Tracy Banks are defaming my character and bringing other clowns in to defame my character while I'm being gang stalked the whole time, and they're all going to federal prison. Okay, the entities engaged in this while I'm subject to psychological torture at this hotel room, RAMADA by WYNDHAM. This is the same criminal system that they've been engaged in for years, which I've been documenting for years. And the entity is engaging in what is sitting on property that belongs to me while I am documenting being a transient, which is the criminal product of the government targeting me in the first place. Now, the entity that likes to criminally defame an American citizen would state, why would a licensed attorney end up homeless? Would end up being a transient. Now, with regard to the entity that is gang stalking unbeknownst to you, that's where criminal defamation comes in and states, oh, it's because they are gravely disabled under the Welfare and Institutions Code. It's because they are a paranoid schizophrenic and they think that everyone is after them. It's because they're not able to function. It's because they're hallucinating. It's because they suffer severe mental illness and they need to be treated. They need to be kept against their will in a facility. Oh, and by the way, I'm going to keep all their money and their property that they don't even know about. Okay, that's the entity that's engaging in criminal defamation. When reality is the government is engaging in criminal surveillance. Number one, that means you in Florida under the fake sun, you know that that's not the natural environment. Everybody can look at what Erica Spencer is documenting. Erica Lorraine Spencer in California, the only targeted individual. What I am documenting is relevant to every other person in this country with regard to knowing beyond a reasonable doubt that surveillance is underway based on the supernatural environment that surrounds you. If it surrounds me, then it surrounds you because there's only one sun and there's thousands of suns because of what's going on in the rest of the country. The fake sun that you see on the news when they're reporting it in Kentucky, when they're reporting it in Louisiana and in Mississippi and in New York and in Florida and in Boston, and when they're in Minnesota and you're looking at what the fake sun in Las Vegas, Nevada and in Washington, and in Washington, D.C., this is speaking to the specific environment and surveillance is underway in that environment. That is an illusion that's right in front of your face. It's right in front of your face and it's demonic. Okay? The entity, number one. Number two, gang stalking, criminal surveillance of an inhumane level. Where, in other words, an organized system of literally executing American citizens, murdering them, and then typically assassinating their character in doing so. The entity that's engaging in what is gang stalking is going to blame the targeted individual in one way or another. That is referred to as gaslighting in the vernacular, but it is typically something where the demons are not only going to ruin your character, stating that, oh, you were a drug addict, you were prostituting, and one of your John Does killed you in a motel. You were homeless and you were killed in an alley when you were shooting up that crack cocaine that you've been on for years, and or you committed suicide, or you were harming someone, or you threatened law enforcement who were gang stalking you and then they shot you, and then the entity is going to, in corrupt courts, uphold that act of overuse of force based on the circumstances that they then legally analyze and uphold the overuse of force. And again, overuse of force, that's a whole legal analysis with regard to legitimate law enforcement. It doesn't apply to gang stalking police officers, which is an oxymoron, which is going to be dealt with by federal court, federal prosecution, federal prison. Okay? The entity is engaging in what is murder when you're gang stalking through police. That's reasonably resulting in a loss of life. The entity is engaging in the pattern of conduct, and this is how the ordinary target individual that is gang stalked and loses their life is then defamed in death, which, with regard to criminal defamation, unlike ordinary tortious defamation, you cannot defame a dead person. With criminal defamation, yes, you are very much defaming dead people. Because this is how they are explaining away what happened to the targeted individual, and you will be able to recover for that. All right, so the entity is engaging in the pattern of conduct, and by you, I'm stating the federal government can prosecute for that. That's what I mean. Because there are American citizens who have already lost their life, and the government defamed their character after they murdered them and blamed them one way or another for what happened, stating that some beautiful, successful woman threw her body off of a 16-story building, and then right before she's getting ready to, become a celebrity for some sort of success in her life. And then she was hiding this secret depression. And that's a form of mental illness. And that's what caused her to hop off of that off of that 16-story building to her demise. And it just so happens to be her mother that profits off of that loss of life that she brought on herself, according to everybody that survives. And she was being targeted the whole time. She's being targeted by a bunch of envious demons, including her mother, that profited from her death. These are the circumstances that are never looked into. All right. So I just want to be clear. The entities engaging in this is psychological torture inside of the hotel room. And I'm going to go ahead and look into, because there was a celebrity. I was with this witch, Tracy Banks. I'm not just calling names. She's a witch. She practices witchcraft. She engages in witchcraft with her sex partner, Jason Isaac Fields. They together would obsess over my vagina when they engage in sex with each other, when they engage in sex with other groups. That this is a Jezebel spirit. And so mental illness is exhibited through your sexual activity, contrary to how you are being conditioned. I want to be clear. You're being conditioned to think that a lot of things are normal, that a lot of things are an expression of your freedom and your liberty. And whatever it is that you feel, you should just go with it. I just want to be clear. There is nothing normal about the sexual expression, if you will, that is going on. It's wicked, it's of the devil, and it is something that Satan wants you to be very comfortable with. And the Jezebel spirit in particular is what is the ability to identify that in this group sex, this gay sex that Jason Isaac Fields and Tracy Banks in particular would engage in, while they focus on things like my genitalia, while they look at what is me on video when I don't even know, watching me on cameras that I don't even know are around, and they're engaging in sexual activity with each other while they engage in voyeurism, obsessing over me. This is, first of all, that's psychopathic, and it's also relevant to the sexual expression. That's not normal, okay? But a lot of things are being fed to you as though they are normal, and they're doing that to children as well, getting them as comfortable with that abnormality, with that sexual dysfunction, with that wicked spirit as early as possible. And the entity, and I want to be clear, that is a manifestation of mental illness. All right. The entity, actual mental illness, not mental illness that we have been told about, parroted, told, and not only that, but been made accustomed to believing that a certain thing is mentally ill and another is not. And you don't even, these are demons who are mentally ill themselves. I mean, the so-called medical health professionals who are diagnosing, I'm documenting them gang stalking in medical facilities. Somebody like myself who has been kidnapped, and I'm exposing what is criminal activity, and they make up information with a straight face, knowing, remember, they're monitoring somebody. So that's demonic. So these demons are malicious. Not only are they all monitoring in the spirit, while they claim to be things like an atheist, somebody that claims that they don't believe in God. So I want to be, when I use that term spirit, do not go and be deceived by thinking, oh, they're not believers. They don't go to church. They're not spiritual. The demon possessed are very spiritual. Okay. When you engage in sex rituals, that's a spiritual act. It's dark, but it's very spiritual. And it's not based on what you claim to believe or don't believe about God. You don't believe in God while you're engaging in that. You're not a child of God at all. You're a child of the devil. But I want to be clear, it's a very spiritual act. And Satan and his minions, the demons, know that. That's why they use that with regard to spiritually attacking other people who are ignorant about that type of warfare, that type of psychological warfare. Okay, so these are psychopaths that are in medical facilities. They are spiritually attacking while being psychopaths, again, delusional, thinking that they're going to get away with what they're doing, knowing that I'm documenting, and with a straight face, engaging in, as conducting themselves as though they're like legitimate, upright medical professionals, making diagnosis of mental illness, and they are walking, talking psychopaths, and very malicious and criminals. So I just want to be clear, contrary to what you are told about what mental illness looks like, behaves like, appears as, presents symptoms of, those who are mentally ill are posing as being in a position to even give you that information. And these are malicious, demon-possessed people who are, by the way, engaging in a whole system of surveillance in the United States. And it's a part of what is the organized crime, if you will, a federal group stalking and monitoring, a satanic system that's underway in this country, in the medical field, in the legal field, in law enforcement, in government, amongst pop culture, everything in any and every area with regard to conditioning your mind. Okay. So anyway, I just want to document that. And there was a celebrity that was gang stalking me she's literally a witch. And that's what I mean. I'm not just calling names. I'm very literal with what I state. Okay. And when I'm being facetious, I also state that I'm being facetious, but most of the time when I'm being facetious, I'm being serious at the same time. So like I said, it can be complex sometimes, but it is what it is. This is who I am, and I'm still going to be myself. And this is why the entity is very much failing in what is a sacrifice unto Satan, because the entity is seeking to rob you of your identity, rob you of your joy, rob you of your ability to even my articulation to you, my legal analysis, my breakdown to you of the logic behind the absence of logic, rather, of the pattern of conduct, what they do. But then you are thereby also witnessing the logic of the prosecution. While you're looking at the inconsistency of the specific environment, you're clearly stalking under a fake sun, and you're not a stranger when you're doing that. Duh. The entity is engaging in what I'm showing you the logic of the body of evidence. Within you're looking at the consistency of the P.O.C. as you're looking at, see, this is stalking, this is stalking, this is stalking, this is stalking. The same pattern you're seeing. Now let's think back on what the Ontario Police Department were doing at the Ontario Town Square at 9:53, at 10:03, at 10:13. At 10:17, at the Ontario Town Square, flying in circles over me by helicopter. Now you're able to look back. That was stalking, just like I stated when I was capturing it in real time. The body of evidence of the P.O.C. shows you the logic, shows you how I'm engaging what is legal reasoning, because it's not impervious to a prosecution. And it's also obvious for anyone to be able to recognize an illusion that's been in front of you, right in front of your face the whole time. And that is, by the way, how Satan is. That is the practice of witchcraft. And this is also how you have this massive amount of people that are mentally ill. This is the practice of magic. This is living and existing and relying upon illusions and losing grasp with reality while they are projecting mental illness onto the targeted individual. Imagine that. All right, so I will go into, because there is a celebrity in particular, and he was on a soap opera, and I was in Newport Beach, and I was with, again, my gang stalking family who were monitoring me, and Tracy Banks as a psychopath, and the fake son is present. All of this I'm not aware of at the time. I was like a young adult, if not a teenager. 16, 17. And this celebrity is, and I recognize his face, but I don't know his name because I don't watch soap operas. I think it's literally just gossip in a TV show. But the entity is engaging what is monitoring me, and Tracy Banks is just cheesing like, oh, I'm not aware of this satanic system that's underway. I'm not aware of this, but this celebrity is gang stalking me. All right. And it's at an intersection in Newport Beach. The specific environment is there. And Tracy Banks is a witch, and she has engaged in what is spiritually exploiting me since I was a child. So this is, again, somebody that's aware of my spiritual gifts and is engaged in spiritually attacking me and also sexually exploiting me. And as you're aware of the fact, or as I'm letting you know, in case you did not know, this Jezebel spirit, this sexual exploitation, this sexual promiscuity, this sexual deviancy, it is spiritually significant. It's demonic. It's out of hell. And this is what this pedophile Tracy Banks has been engaging in against me, unbeknownst to me, since I was a child, with other people who, again, they achieve celebrity status through Satan. They achieve their political prospects through witchcraft, through Satan. They make sacrifices unto the devil in order to reach whatever goals that they have in life. This is what ordinary people who are on welfare, and all they want, the most that they aspire for is to get a new Tahoe, and they're perfectly fine with their EBT card and a used Tahoe or a used BMW while the government's paying a portion of their rent. And literally, they make sacrifices unto Satan. The people of the state engage in making sacrifices unto Satan while they are getting just for a county job, so they can make $65,000 a year, and they sacrifice themselves unto Satan in order to do that. These are the type of things that the people of the state, in other words, I'm legally referring to those who are lost, those who serve Satan, those who are engaging in what I've put in a framework with regard to a prosecution, gang stalking. However, this is literally just the wicked who are engaging in what is targeting innocent people, people who follow Christ, people who are not of the devil like these demons are. And gang stalking, targeting in that specific environment, monitoring spirits, They are only targeting, you are only targeting when you are of that spirit. Monitoring spirits, that's demonic. Those are demons. So like I said, this criminal system is very specific. It's very specific, meaning, you know, you are able to physically identify what is spiritually going on with a person who is gang stalking. That's what I mean by that. Okay. And so while I am recalling that a celebrity had been engaged in targeting me in Newport Beach. He was driving a red convertible, and he was at the intersection, and he even waved. And this is, again, that's how gang stalking is happening. It's occurring with regard to their participating in this satanic ritual. They're pacing all around, and it's appearing as traffic under the fake sun. But this celebrity was participating and targeting me, and that was unbeknownst to me. And it's something that I was just recalling. And the moment that I recalled it, I'm sitting in front of I'm sitting on the chair over here in the depths of the hotel room where I'm sitting. There's a little exclusive earthquake happening while demons are just sitting up monitoring me. Okay, this is relevant to the prosecution of the venue itself, WYNDHAM, which is, again, RAMADA by WYNDHAM, where I'm being gang stalked. And gang stalking is demonic. And that demonic conduct that a government is maintaining to keep you under surveillance as well, through a bunch of demons who are sharing in surveillance, that's the prosecution for domestic terrorism. Okay, that is, again, terrorism that's happening in the United States by the United States government in concert with the people of the state, the civilian population. It is terrorism that's happening in the U.S. These are homegrown terrorists, and it's of the devil. And the entity is gang stalking with immigrants that are granted a privilege to be here, and that's going to be dealt with deportation. All right, I just wanted to document that. It's currently 10:52 p.m. What is also relevant, like I stated before, is the fact that demons like Jason Isaac Fields. The reason why I'm honing in on this, because this is someone, and this is the federal government as well, that is engaging what is gang stalking, is engaging in what is targeting me, is engaging in what is voyeurism, is engaging in what is a sex offense committed as an entity. I'm going to enforce my rights, which I have articulated in a very well written document with regard to my knowledge about what the government is doing and what I'm entitled to under the law as it exists, and also as it shall come into existence based on what justice requires. Okay, and the bottom line is because the government conspired my death, and guess what? It didn't work. And so since I'm not going anywhere, I'm going to prosecute, and I'm going to get justice, sizable justice that is required when you are targeted by a government that, in other words, by all accounts and according to Satan, I should have been 6 feet under already, but it didn't happen that way. And so now the entity is going to be exposed and prosecuted for it. Okay, it's currently 10:53 p.m. Jason Isaac Fields is a sex offender. This is a demon that is engaged in what is spiritually attacking. He is obsessed with my vagina, a sex offender monitoring through the city of Ontario. This is government conduct. So the mayor is gang stalking. Everything in Ontario is pursuant to the pattern of conduct. A gang stalking mayor is going to be removed from office. This is corruption happening on his watch. In other words, he is corrupt. All right. Everything with regard to the pattern of conduct that's underway in whatever city I am, including the city of Ontario, is revealing what is occurring in concert with the federal government. Jason Isaac Fields is targeting me. Okay, just like he has been with regard to his sex partner, Tracy Banks. Okay, the prospects or the demise of whatever sex relationship that's neither here nor there. I don't care. You're going to be prosecuted for what you have conspired to engage in, for what I am continuously subject to. And this is just in anticipation of what some legally irrelevant argument would suggest, that you stop gang stalking, so therefore and you did not stop gang stalking. You do not withdraw from a criminal conspiracy that you created with an entity. I'm going to prosecute you, and you're still going to federal prison. And by the way, this is a demon that's engaged in 24-hour psychological torture, spiritual attacks, the use of witchcraft. And then this is a psychopath that would like to stand somewhere near me and feign as though he is a partner, he's a friend, he is a hero, and he's not. He's a sex offender. He is a pedophile. He's an at-risk pedophile. Never keep your children around him. That's how serious of a threat that this psychopath is. Okay, this is somebody that is spiritually attacking and is also engaging in what is psychopathic behavior, including while he is spiritually attacking me in the spirit. And I'm prosecuting, because gang stalking that I'm subject to now is evidence that's going to prosecute Jason Isaac Fields. You cannot individually withdraw yourself from a conspiracy. Look up how you prosecute a conspiracy. The government's going to be prosecuted with this evidence that I'm maintaining for that purpose. And it's not just him, but that's just an example of how that legal analysis goes. It's currently 10:55 p.m. WYNDHAM RAMADA by Wyndham is located at 1841 East G Street, and this is P.O.C. All right, this is documentation that is not only of the venue, and which is also of the government. This is also relevant to the unlawful threat that predators like Jason Isaac Fields understand that this is someone that is obsessed in their mind regarding what is never going to happen and what no stalker actually ever is, outside of harming another person that has no interest in them, you're not going to procure that. And so this is relevant to the unlawful threat that the government poses. While predators like Jason Isaac Fields is engaged in ongoing stalking, he's engaged in ongoing targeting. So remember, while I'm documenting this demon, Jason Isaac Fields, at Woodside Senior Apartments, his co-defendants begin targeting, including the Ontario Police Department, Alan D. WAPNER's Ontario International Airport, stalking with amplified plane activity where no planes taken off from the airport is ever going to be heard at that senior citizen complex at 408 West G Street. But this is what's happening when I'm documenting the co-defendant, the demon that all the other demons are monitoring me with. So when you're documenting and exposing the demons by any name, and Jason Isaac Fields is one of them, he's also being prosecuted for domestic terrorism and for being a sex offender obsessed with my vagina, which he has no connection to. All right, this is somebody that would like to force himself on me. This is somebody that's trying to spiritually attack with voodoo so that he can get me to not press charges against him and just give in and be involved with. This is a psychopath who would like to murder me in order to silence me. That's what's relevant, okay? So I want to document, first of all, RAMADA by Wyndham, their Wi-Fi code is 469953. And on the RAMADA Wi-Fi, I am putting in that code. So as I documented criminal summoning, I documented that in images. The entity is monitoring on my other phone. The Wi-Fi works perfectly fine. It's not a malfunction. Like I stated, this is the pattern of conduct. The entity is engaging in what is criminal summoning. So that's the city of Ontario that's engaging in what is stalking with amplified noise, the sound of sirens. Those are demons that are in the position of government, criminally misusing emergency vehicles under the fake sun and an engineer light, monitoring my internet activity with all the demons that are staying around in this hotel. Okay, the entity, including the demons in room number 325. The demons are tonight engaging in what is the pattern of conduct as well as I'm moving around, stalking. And again, as I expose the earthquake under my feet, seated at the chair, while I move to a different location by the bed. And this is where the entity is following with that activity creation. The entity engages in it now, again, as I document. This is the mental illness that the entity is exhibiting. And when their faces are in court, when this is evidence used to diagnose them. This is where, again, psychopaths like Jason Isaac Fields, you're putting a face to the psychopath. You're putting a face to the demon. You're putting a face to the sex offender that would like to commit murder if he cannot get his way with a woman that he wants to force himself on. After having sex with my mother for years and conspiring my murder, which did not work successfully. So now this demon is not investigating, he's gang stalking me with the demons who are engaging in psychological torture, stalking and monitoring as I move around inside of this hotel room. What the entity is also doing, like the city of Ontario did earlier, and with regard to what is getting on the Wi-Fi and publishing the documentation that I captured, the entity is engaging in what is the federal stalking for purposes of obstruction of justice, as opposed to federal stalking and furtherance of murder, just to engage in an ongoing unabated program of stalking and monitoring and harassment and terrorism, doing so pursuant to that gratification that they get from voyeurism, watching the person that they're stalking obsessively. This is mental illness by the demon possessed, okay? This is what they're doing, and this is, again, a torture chamber, not a hotel, not an innkeeper. I'm gonna prosecute Wyndham for this, okay? Wyndham, by the way, the corporate headquarters is located at 22 SYLVAN Way, Parsippany in New Jersey. And this is the prosecution of that third party with regard to my detailed evidence of being psychologically tortured inside of the hotel room, where they are gang stalking with the third party patrons, just like I'm documenting at Marriott Bonvoy. I'm documenting with regard to Holiday Inn. I'm documenting with regard to Hilton, with regard to the other Wyndham venues like La Quinta Inn, the entity that's gang stalking at Economy Inn, the entity that is engaging in this pattern of conduct with this same exact formula, okay?
and it's absolutely psychopathic. And it's also sexual violence because in the same way that they're stalking with sensational noise as I'm walking around inside of the room, they're also monitoring my vagina, which sex offenders like Jason Isaac Fields are aroused by while utilizing things like witchcraft. This becomes legally relevant when a government is engaging in this very mentally demented means of stalking and monitoring someone in a manner that's supposed to cause like some sort of emotional psychological breakdown. What's not happening is that, and instead what is happening is I'm giving a detailed insight regarding malicious means, and malicious is getting to the satanic aspect. Satanic methods is nothing other than what is invisible. Okay, but as I'm referring to what is invisible while psychopaths are engaging and relying on it, it is proven through the tangible evidence of the P.O.C. Okay, so not only are you seeing and witnessing, these are demons that are under a fake sun, and in the same way that I don't have to make that up, the entity is engaging with a sensational activity creation under my feet where I'm moving inside of the room and doing so in real time as I speak to it. So that's again at 11:05 p.m. As I refer to it, the entity repeats that. This is going to be put to the identity of demons who are psychopaths who will never be in my presence, like Jason Isaac Fields. This is a rapist. This is a pedophile waiting to happen. This is somebody that is a liar and a murderer that wants to commit murder by gang stalking and calling it an investigation where an unfortunate loss of life was supposed to occur. This is somebody that is engaging in that. And while I documented the podcast, I want to add 11:07 p.m. The entity is engaged in federal stalking with the intent to obstruct justice. And this is aiding psychopaths, sex offender predators like Jason Isaac Fields and the entire entity, the government, in other words. Okay. But again, the entity is seeking to avoid being published on the video of the internet. Understand how much of a threat that is. This is the entity that is subject to federal prison. Those within the entity that are subject to federal prison, this is why. Okay, the entity is engaging in what is maintaining a chamber, a torture chamber. The entity is engaging in what is sexually violating you as a whole population, and that's secretly underway. Nobody's supposed to know that somebody's being sexually violated by a whole government program. The entity is engaging in what is psychopathic means of harassing people, like I'm documenting with sensational activity, like I'm documenting with impossible light activity. Okay, the entity is engaging in this with an egregious level of violation of privacy in a manner that has never been contemplated, again, under federal law. This is corporate invasion of privacy by a government and a population engaging in surveillance of a woman inside of a hotel room. Any and everything, including that which surrounds my vagina, is under surveillance. Who is interested in that? Sex offenders. Okay, so the entity is engaged in this, and this is RAMADA by WYNDHAM, who is headquartered, the corporate headquarters is located in New Jersey, Parsippany, New Jersey, and I did document that because this is relevant to prosecuting the company, the third party itself, but understand that this is prosecution that's relevant to an unlawful threat. While you're engaged in this conduct, which is committed in furtherance of murder, the entity interferes then with the internet so that you cannot publish that evidence online, so that you cannot blow the whistle and let the federal government know where you're at. The federal government, that is gang stalking, but I'm going to recover for that. But the entity is, again, this is relevant to the ordinary target individual where the government is not going to ever interfere with your federal case where they're trying to kill you and get away with killing you by disconnecting your access to the internet. This is what RAMADA by WYNDHAM is going to be prosecuted for. They're engaging in federal stalking using the RAMADA Wi-Fi. They're doing so with the city of Ontario that engaged in criminal summoning like I documented earlier today. They did so pursuant to what is accessing the Wi-Fi network. It kicks me off of the RAMADA Wi-Fi network, and then my phone is barred from getting back on that Wi-Fi network. It's not a malfunction. I'm letting you know that the entity that's engaged in gang stalking is utilizing internet in doing so. It is just barring your ability to access it. This is protecting sex offenders, witchcraft reliant rapists like Jason Isaac Fields, who wants to have sex with you outside of your consent by using some sort of voodoo, black magic, that wants to get away with stealing from you so that you will see them as your friend and lover by using black magic and witchcraft, gang stalking you into silence, trying to bully you and psychologically torture you into silence. And if not, then just monitoring and blocking the ability to access internet, which the entity that is gang stalking me is doing so, protecting demons like Jason Isaac Fields. And this is not to state that the government is not itself, engaging in that. It's all of an entity together. You're going to hold the entity responsible under the law with regard to what the entity is doing directly and what the entity is doing vicariously. It's also relevant to what it is that I'm documenting. This sex offender, Jason Isaac Fields, this terrorist, he is a psychopath. Literally, his mental illness is proven through not only the absurd
farcical tales that he's told about me, while the whole time he's sexually obsessed with me. He sits and masturbates and has sex with other men and women while he fantasizes about my vagina. And this is the reality of a psychopath that is gang stalking me and abusing a government position in doing so. Sits up and listens to me, watches me, stalks me, calls an investigation, watches me create my own body of evidence to prosecute him and the government, and then is engaging in what is obstruction of justice. This is the entity that is blocking the internet access. So this is what I want to document, because this is what was criminal summoning was centered around earlier today. And I took pictures of what was on one phone. I'm fully on the Wi-Fi network. I took pictures of both the phones that I have, same Wi-Fi network, but the one that I was seeking to use to access Wi-Fi also based on what is hatred for Christ Jesus. Well, I want to watch a sermon with regard to a pastor that again is anti-Satan, and Satan is anti-God. The entity that is hostile to Christ Jesus is what is interfering with my Wi-Fi network. This is this demon that is again engaging in that pattern of conduct while the pattern of conduct is underway on my device. One can't access the Wi-Fi network, but the other one can. Now, while I'm getting ready, it's also relevant what I stated. The reason why I'm going through this is because I also stated that the entity is monitoring pursuant to what it is, the substance of what it is that I'm talking about, the timing when the activity is created, and also the substance of what it is that I am publishing. The entity is not, first of all, RAMADA by WYNDHAM is already going to be prosecuted. They're a part of the state of California. The entity is weary because I'm now here at the property, because the entity has tunnel vision, because the entity is, again, these are a bunch of demons who are inferior in every regard, spiritually, intellectually. They are in every regard inferior with regard to focusing in on, oh, I don't want you to upload, because that's why they're interfering with the internet. You don't want me to upload, publish what is already established, that RAMADA by WYNDHAM is a gang stalking corrupt business full of demons. The entire city of Ontario already stated that. That's why I can go to RAMADA by WYNDHAM and document the pattern of conduct. Now, the entity is engaging in what is an unlawful threat to your life. An American citizen whose life is being conspired against by the state is then going to block your ability to publish evidence in order for you to not be subject. The entity is capable of breaking in to my hotel room and me disappearing, and you never know anything about it. Okay, this is the significance of the entity that's engaging in this P.O.C. with an unlawful purpose in violating your access to the internet. I am a paid customer. I'm gonna prosecute for this. Not only am I a paid customer, but the entity is gang stalking me as a customer. This is a federal RICO case. The entity is also blocking with regard to the substance. Where RAMADA by WYNDHAM, I already documented them before. And not only that, it is already established that they are a gang stalker in the city of Ontario. You don't have to go to every demon's house. You already know that they are. You already know this. The pattern of conduct is already established. It's these demons who have tunnel vision, who are stalking me and are presupposing that it's step by step everywhere that I go. And that's all that the case is going to include. And that's all that it is to it, because that's all that I talked about on that day. I didn't talk about anything else, so it doesn't include anything else. And if she doesn't talk about this and that, then it's only going to be what it is that these demons are literally impotent, intellectually impotent. They become alarmed about things that I refer to on any given day. There's a whole elaborate prosecution that is planned for Satan in ways in which it has not anticipated, because I haven't gone in depth analysis. I haven't discussed that. I've discussed some of the main things like federal prison, disbanding, deportation, being published by the Department of Justice as a terrorist. But the entity is engaging in what is conduct, and they're already surrounded. RAMADA by WYNDHAM is included as a defendant in the city of Ontario. The entire city is engaged in gang stalking. All I did was come and stay at the hotel, and that's confirming what the evidence already proves. That's why a fake sun is over me on this date in Hesperia at the Holiday Inn outside of my hotel room window. Very detailed and precise placement of a fake sun. What's staying over me, over my head at any location in the city of Ontario is the prosecution of that state, engaging in that P.O.C. of that city, which is a state pattern of conduct. Okay, but like I said, the entity is engaging in this P.O.C. and demons again, Jason Isaac Fields is going to federal prison with his sex partner, Tracy Banks. She's also going to federal prison. And the entity is engaging in what is threatening my life and safety and well-being while blocking the internet, and doing so while I'm entering the correct code. And so that's what I took screenshots of. That's what happened on my other phone. The entity is doing so pursuant to my desire to watch a a church service, again, as a Christian, as a Bible-believing Christian, as somebody that's listening to a pastor that preaches scripture, these demons, especially this demon-possessed psychopath, Jason Isaac Fields, hostile to that. And then this is just harassment. Okay. And the reason why I'm referring to Jason Isaac Fields, because you need to understand that this is somebody that has been at, him and Tracy Banks have been at the forefront of targeting me and trying to kill me and defame me in doing so. And in the same way, you need to understand that it is a government system, but the government was solicited by these two psychopaths, Tracy Banks and Jason Isaac Fields. Jason Isaac Fields is still engaged in what is spiritually attacking. So while I am publishing evidence, for example, and while I'm trying to access just a YouTube video, which I am free to watch whatever I want on my phone, okay, that's within the bounds of the law. All right, so this is a demon that is, again, harassing me while he's monitoring me in the spirit. And it feels like some sort of accomplishment because he's engaged in federal. I'm going to prosecute this psychopath for this. This demon's face is going to be relevant to putting his face to this psychotic pattern of conduct that I'm documenting. The demons that are stalking me at RAMADA by WYNDHAM are because Jason Isaac Fields' criminal engagement in targeting me. And Tracy Banks' criminal engagement in targeting me. He's going to federal prison. The demons that are engaging in what is stalking with sensational activity inside of the hotel room, as I refer to it, demons like Jason Isaac Fields are going to federal prison. This is solicited by this hitman. It was solicited by them. Okay? And it's a government system. That is, the government is for sale. The government will target whoever is the highest bidder. All right? On behalf of whoever is the highest bidder. All right, so because my money, my property, Jason Isaac Fields and Tracy Banks soliciting the government to take me out by gang stalking, because that's supposed to result in my being depicted as crazy and then ultimately my demise. And again, being depicted as crazy is the way in which they would murder and then blame me for the loss of life because I committed suicide or because I overdosed on drugs or because I was killed by some John Doe as a prostitute, because I was just found, as just a dysfunctional, hallucinating, paranoid schizophrenic who just started foaming at the mouth and just had some inexplicable death in the middle of the road. Okay, this is literally what these demons engage in, but it's pursuant to what is a pattern of conduct. So I want to make sure that that's clear. The entity is engaging again, RAMADA. On the Wi-Fi network, this is federal stalking committed with the intent to obstruct justice, and it's an unlawful threat to my life. The demon in in room number 325, they're stalking with amplified noise. They're on video this morning at the 11 o'clock hour, stalking while they exit the hotel room. They're monitoring. They all are monitoring, but you're looking at them. These demons are all stalking and obsessively monitoring me, and they're doing so while I'm asleep. They're doing so while I'm breathing. They do so pursuant to my vagina. They do so pursuant to my body parts when I'm washing in the shower. They do so pursuant to as I dry off, as I put lotion on. These are violent sex offenders, and their obsession with my whole body, their obsession with my thoughts, their obsession especially with what it is that I expose about them. And Jason Isaac Fields is threatening my life while the internet is being blocked. He's going to federal prison for it. So I want to detail that because everything that I'm subject to is relevant to what he is subject to, which is federal prison, and for how long. Okay, this is relevant to an unlawful threat posed by any government that is targeting an American citizen because they seek to target you, silence you, keep you in a bubble, and then do away with you. Okay, that is relevant to not having access to the internet. It's not a failure. It's not a malfunction. There's nothing wrong with my phones at all. It's pursuant to the P.O.C. that I've been documenting for years. I want to make sure that this is on the record because this is relevant to the entity who is very specific by name. They're going to be prosecuted. But this is a government program. This is a government program. All right. And it's relevant to criminal surveillance. And the entity is RAMADA is a part of that government program. And RAMADA is going to be prosecuted for threatening my life and safety, for maintaining my hotel room as a torture chamber, for accepting money, taking money as a corrupt business, while a bunch of sex offenders rent out hotel rooms all around me to monitor my vagina together, to monitor my internet access and everything going on inside of this hotel room so they can listen to how many times I chew every time I eat, so they can sit around and listen to my digestive tract, so they can sit around and interfere with a federal case against it because I'm documenting to prosecute. And Jason Isaac Fields is going to federal prison. It's not protecting him. It's incriminating. He's going to prison. Okay, that's an unlawful threat to my life, and I want to make sure that that's clear because it's going to be appreciated under federal law. It's 11:20 p.m. This is federal stalking under Title 18, Section 2261A, subsections 1 and 2. And I do want to make sure that I have the correct corporate record of this RAMADA by WYNDHAM. The corporate headquarters, and that is indeed 22 Sylvan Way, Parsippany, New Jersey, zip code 07054-3801. That is the corporate headquarters of for RAMADA by WYNDHAM. And a pattern of conduct by WYNDHAM, who has been targeting me in California. Days Inn, Baymont Inn, again, La Quinta Inn and Suites, and also what is RAMADA by WYNDHAM, which they were targeting me and engaging in this pattern of conduct when Tracy Banks engaged in gang stalking me with this venue. And I believe this is in 2020. All right. This entity engages in what is a violent sex offense in doing so, is engaging in what is corrupt business practices, maliciously gang stalking with the government, and not engaging in any constitutionally protected rights. And also the employees and management are likely gang stalking immigrants granted a privilege to be in this country, which does not include to engage in criminal surveillance and furtherance of murder, and also facilitation of that when they are engaging in federal stalking in order to stop internet regarding evidence that they know is being captured and also documented and published in order to save that American citizen's life. And so they're trying to stop that, and they're also engaging in what is facilitation of that ongoing corrupt conduct. All right, that's an unlawful threat. You're going to prosecute civilly and criminally. All right, you're going to quantify that. Even though a life cannot be put into dollar amounts, that threat, that sexual violence, that psychological torture committed by WYNDHAM, while you cannot quantify it, your justice requires that the attempt be made, and it is based on a basis which is unprecedented. It has not been contemplated before, and it is civil cases, and damages are designed to literally not only drain the pockets, but to punish through that prosecution. And now that's not a new policy, but with regard to federal prosecution for gang stalking, which is committed in furtherance of murder, it's literally designed to devastate that company if it survives. Okay. And that's by virtue of design. You're not only draining the pockets, they're making money off of gang stalking. You're not holding on to that. And in addition, it's designed to devastate your company. And that is so that companies are also then identified as domestic terrorists. They're also identified as sex offenders. They're identified as those engaging in psychological torture, as corrupt businesses that are engaging in the system throughout the state of California. Okay, so RAMADA by WYNDHAM, again, their code, you'll see the screenshots, entering in the Wi-Fi code correctly. The entity is blocking that. That's monitoring. That's pursuant to surveillance. It's not a malfunction. So I want to make sure that you understand that, because these are a lot of things that people are ignorant about. This is not a malfunction of your phone or anything. And if I were to go out of my room, go across the street, go on another network, it would work perfectly fine. The entity's engaging what is monitoring, and it's not protecting the demons that I'm documenting. It's not protecting this business. It's not protecting any of these public officials. It's not protecting Tracy Banks and her sex partner, her co-conspirator, her fellow cult member, Jason Isaac Fields. It's not protecting any. It's incriminating, and you're going to prosecute. It does nothing other than intensify that federal prosecution, and that is by design. It's by design. The government that's gang stalking, these are delusional. These are demons that live in a fantasy. They rely on magic and outside of reality, relying on illusions. They're going to be brought down to reality, a booming reality with regard to that prosecution. Okay, that is relevant and itemized, detailed, diligent documentation regarding every tactic that the entity not only used to target and murder someone and torture them every step of the way, but then try to avoid justice and it being exposed. The audacity of that government, that's what's going to be addressed in civil and criminal cases. It's currently, again, 11:24 p.m. Jason Isaac Fields is a very heavily documented sex offender, and federal law is going to appreciate why no gang stalker is ever permitted into the presence of an American citizen outside of the consent, and there will be no consent. Okay, there is nothing other than the intent to testify, the intent to press charges, the intent to enforce my rights with regard to what the federal government does not even is not considering, because I'm going to prosecute on a basis that the federal government hasn't anticipated, because the laws don't exist and they need to exist for the exact reasons that Jason Isaac Fields and the federal government and the city of Ontario, the state of California, the people of the state, the malicious tactics of the entity, they call for it, they necessitate. All right, that's all that's going to happen. Okay, this is a psychopath that is not being protected but being incriminated, and this is somebody that is, again, still sitting on property that belongs to me, while a bunch of demons solicited by Tracy Banks and Jason Isaac Fields are targeting. And since they solicited gang stalking by police officers, they're going to federal prison. Okay, says they engaged in what is soliciting a population of psychopaths to keep me under surveillance and monitor my vagina, interfere and violate my privacy, which is a trauma that is beyond what you can quantify in a civil case. They're going to federal prison because that was committed, that was solicited in furtherance of my murder. They planned and conspired that I would be so traumatized, all right, that I would never recover, while they can falsely depict my character, steal my property in doing so, take my liberty, keep me against my will in some facility, and then ultimately my life being taken from me, because that's exactly what they planned. That's exactly, and he's going to federal prison for it. All right, this is a psychopath that's delusional with regard to any other result. Him and his sex partner, Tracy Banks, his wife, okay, they're going to federal prison. It's currently 11:26 p.m. RAMADA by WYNDHAM is engaged in federal stalking, engaging in what is interfering with access to Wi-Fi. I'm a paying customer, and it's not a malfunction. It's within the P.O.C. And it's an unlawful threat to the life of an American citizen. Remember, I'm not only prosecuting, I'm not only exposing, you are witnessing what is advocacy on behalf of the ordinary target individual. So that, in other words, you are witnessing how another person, you don't have to be a lawyer, you don't have to know the law, you don't have to document for 7 years. This is establishing precedent. You're looking and witnessing how you can enforce your rights against the state as well. And this is what no ordinary target individual is going to be subject to. All right, this is P.O.C.